Did you know that until 1970, trans people in Britain used to be able to change the gender on their birth certificate? So I'm currently in the research stage of a queer history tour around London, and this is one of the books I've been reading, and they talk about this story a lot. So this is trans model and actress April Ashley. In 1970, she was married to this guy called Arthur Corbett. The marriage goes south, and Corbett wants to get divorced. So he argues in court that April is legally a man, and therefore the marriage didn't count. And the judge agreed. He said that April is a woman psychologically, but the law also has to take into account chromosomes and gonads and genitals. Trans people all over the country had been quietly getting their birth certificates changed and getting married for years. April herself had got a national insurance card saying she was a woman. And this one ruling made all of their marriages invalid. Now, what the book doesn't go into detail on is exactly how you'd get your birth certificate changed. Reading between the lines, I think you just sort of contacted them and said, oh, there's been a mistake on my birth certificate. But that's something I'm going to have to do more research on. Either way, after this decision, that avenue is closed off. At the time, a lot of jobs would ask you for your birth certificate when you started. And if they read it closely, now they'd be able to tell if you were trans. And there was no employment protection at that time for trans people, so you could be fired at any moment if someone went back into your HR file and had a look. After the Corbett case, trans people had to wait until 2004 to legally change their gender. And the kicker is, if the Corbetts had been able to hang on to their marriage for one extra year, none of this would have happened and trans rights wouldn't have been rolled back. Back then, if you wanted to get a divorce, you had to prove adultery, insanity or cruelty, none of which applied in their case. Which is why her husband went and argued that she was a man and therefore the marriage was legally invalid. 1 year later, the law was changed to allow people to divorce by mutual consent. If they'd just been able to do that in the first place, none of this would have happened.